So what you're not aware of, clearly, is the role he played in validating you. Like so this had nothing to do with him. This was where it becomes self-serving. This is really common in codependent relationships. That you don't really love the person, you love what you get out of the relationship. So it's a self-serving relationship. And so what he did for you is he validated that you have worth. So what that means for you is if he's with someone else, that means that you are worthless. And if he's happier with that other person than he was with you, just imagine how much deeper the pit or the hole gets when you're using a person for that reason. So at least from my perspective, I think that's what you're still struggling with. You're still struggling to understand what it is you got out of that relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, and all that being said, it's about like, oh, how perfect and every, it's like, yeah, that's social media. And number two, this is, I also know that he's already cheated on her multiple times. She knows about that he's cheated on her. This is a dark, like, so dark and abusive and horrific human being. Like but like any abuser, he can have this great side that she's seeing now, that they're experiencing now. But it's like I know too that she's getting a web woven around her.
Well, she's getting something out of it.
Yeah, she's getting something out.
Yes, just like you did.
So it's not like, oh, he's so happy. Like, I can't also be so stupid to think, there's times I can fall into this thinking of like, oh, it's so perfect with them. She changed him. He's not. I'm the one that brought out all that shit in him. Like I did that. I made him so mean because I pushed him, or I'm the one that made him that way, and now she's gonna make him better, and he's not gonna be that way with her. But it's like, Kristen, it's like, no, he's already. Anyway, it's just I'm just sucked into the pit of it. It's just. Yeah.
Well, what I think you might want to step back and look at is why. You need to want to know why. You're getting sucked into the content of it all, like information, and you're not, and so you're getting you're so close into it. All you're seeing is information. You're not really getting why does this person matter to me?
Yeah.
Why does it matter that he's cheating on her? Why do you even give a shit? Why do you even care? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
I was happy to hear he cheated on
Oh,
her.
see, then why would you feel that way?
It's good that, she's not, everything's not hunky-dory. He is going to,
I know, so you're going sucked right back into the content that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You need to look at, why does this person matter to you? You've claimed him. You have ownership over him, clearly.
Yeah.
So there's that. He provided something very selfish in you. You were selfishly seeking something from this person. And you're still struggling. You still think that he's yours. There's still clear ownership of this person.
I'm feeling it starting to creep back. Like it was gone, and I was so happy. And, it's been 15 months.
So why... So did you just put it on pause? I mean, because if you were truthfully done permanently forever from this relationship, would you have these emotions?
But, I mean, no, I guess.
Probably not.
I'm just doing my best.
So this is an opportunity for you to see, well, maybe I just put it on pause. I really am not over this. I really haven't surrendered this. Maybe I put it on pause. Maybe I thought maybe we need time apart. Maybe you were hoping that his relationship would end and eventually you would figure it out and he would figure it out. You might have, I don't know.
Yeah. No, the twisted thing is in the middle of my pits of hell, I would literally be like, if someone said, here's a plane ticket, go and be with him right now, I'd go, fuck no, I don't want to be there. I already played everything they're doing together. I've done it all with him, and I have no desire to do it.
So then,
that's the fuck. I don't even.
Why does he still matter? Why does he still matter? I think you just need to be radically honest with yourself. I know what you just said is like, I wouldn't, but then why are you still holding on like you've got an umbilical cord with this guy psychologically? You know, when you completely separate your experience, like he served a purpose in your life and you served a purpose in his life, and that purpose is over. Why is he still in your life? There's something that you want from him, or that you got out of it. It could be, this could be that you're creating drama in your life as a distraction. Could this be a distraction for you? Like, it's easier to be depressed and pissed off. Are you secretly getting something out of this? You know, secretly to in your own mind. It's a secret from you too, but meaning it's unconscious. But our goal is to be like, what's the fucking secret that you get off on this guy? You get off hating on him for some reason. What is it? So my point is, this is all I'm trying to tell you. In these moments,
I'm really thinking, and I've been writing about it, and I do know I'm just trying to articulate.
That's good.
The most truthful answer. I don't want to just ramble on about this.
I understand. I want to make sure what I'm trying to teach you in this moment right now is your goal when you're on your own, in your own mind, is to recognize the rambling content bullshit that is just talking about the minutia. Like, none of this matters. It doesn't matter that he's cheating on. None of that matters. Granted, you getting off on the fact that, yeah, I secretly want him to suffer because I'm suffering. I mean, that's information.
But I want her to. I don't want her to be so fucking happy.
I want her to. See, this tells me that you're released that relationship on a condition that eventually she's going to suffer and they're going to suck. So seeing them thrive.
I know. I mean, it totally comes down to wanting to be superior. I mean, I thought for sure, in a million years, never did I think he would get anybody that was anything to even blink at. Like, I thought for sure it would, because I thought I would be the best girlfriend he ever had.
And he's found someone better for him. Let's just imagine.
He would spend, the rest of his life, miserable and regretting that and what he did, and missed me instead. That's what I'm just, my ego and my pride is so stunned that, that he's just having this great hunky-dory time. And it's like, that's really hard I definitely feel some pride and ego. Absolutely.
Okay, that's the claiming ownership. You've claimed ownership. So you want him, like, his misery is to your benefit. So if he's not miserable, what is that?
I don't really want to be miserable. There are times where I've been good. Like, she's paying his rent. She's paying all his bills.
Oh my God. See, here we are in the content. None of this matters.
I know. It's not that I want him to be miserable. I just thought that I would want him to, like, really miss me and, like, that I would be the best thing he ever had.
Okay, so that, in other words, I want him to be miserable and to need me. Like, that's the codependency, right? Like, I want him to fail and crawl back on his knees to need me. That's the codependency, because you get something out of that. That neediness on your part is very much like being, again, I think you're right, superior, which is a protective mechanism. If I'm superior, then I am safe. Like, if he needs me, then I can feel better about how shitty I am. Underneath it all is, I'm a shitty ass person. And if he needs me, then at least I have someone and something, that might make it better. And so if he doesn't need you, he's better off with someone else. He's doing great, whatever, whether it's fake or not. If it's true, because you can try to convince yourself it's fake, it's wrong. Well, hold on. Well, what if it's true? What if he is happier? What if he's evolving? What if he's psychologically learned the hard way how to be better in a relationship? He's better in this relationship than he was in yours. What if that's the truth?
Well, she brings out something better in him. She doesn't push him.
Do you want that for him? Or be truthful? Or would you rather him have a horrible relationship just as destructive as the one you were with him? If you really love this person, I want you to feel the difference. True love is unconditional, and it is not self-serving. You actually care about the individual like a best friend. You would want them to find what brings them peace and joy in life. And if this relationship, now I know that's not where you're at, but can you feel the difference between?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
So the goal is that you can relinquish, or excuse me, that's the wrong word. You can surrender what you got from that relationship. Because you're not letting that go. You want him to suffer. Because you really want him to come back. Sounds like you want him to come back. Right? And so maybe this is actually a sign. He's never.
I don't want that.
But you do.
I guess there's part of me that has started to a little bit miss him. Just
Okay.
like the best of us.
Got it. So what I want you to I want you to be able to see there's an intellect that you have that is saying, I don't. But there's the reality and the truth of how you feel emotionally, which is you're desperate. You want him to come back. And this is killing you.
Well, no, I think I feel like my being miserable, this is like a way to feel close to him again, because this is how it was when we were close. And I was miserable and like in hell and always jealous and like desperate for him, and he loved that. Like he fueled that. He loved to control me in that way. Oh, you love me, don't you? Tell me you love me, say it. And I would just be this miserable wretch, and he got off on it. And it's like I finally broke free, and I could feel myself just going back down, like being subservient to him and being in hell like this over this woman. And this is like he would stand up and applaud. This is like would be great. Like he would love this right now. And so there's that.
But there's something you get out of that. So you're the one who's loving it. There's something you get out of this to where you are not willing to say she's better for you. You should be with her. Why does that hurt, right? You should, if you really want freedom, you would be able to, he should find the best fit. And if the best fit for him is someone that grovels and worships at his feet, that's what, then good for them.
She is a better fit for him in his heart.
Okay, so how'd that feel to just admit that? She's way better. Why? Is it about...
Fucking for 17 years.
That's content. That's content that doesn't matter. Go into the truth. Why does it matter? Well, the truth is it matters because if you were trying to use the relationship to feel better about yourself. That's why it matters. So it's like what it's doing is it's confirming your fear, which is I'm inadequate. I'm inferior. That's basically the seed of all narcissism.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so all that content bullshit around, it doesn't matter. The truth is this. This is underneath all that bullshit baggage. This relationship had nothing to do with him. It had to do with the fact that it fed it didn't feed it. It fulfilled a huge void that I judged in myself. And he is now with someone else. And here I am with this void, and this other person is making him happier, which ultimately seals the deal. He'll never come back to you. He found someone better. So what does this tell you about the permanence in this breakup in your mind? So I don't even know if it was conscious. You might have said in the back of your head somewhere you were hopeful it'll work out in the end. And you're realizing at this point, oh shit, this isn't working out. So now you're dealing with the original issues underneath it all. Like this was probably here after the breakup, and you somehow coped around it instead of surrendering to it. So it comes back up.
Well, I guess I don't know. I did kind of have this realization yesterday as I was in the clutches of hell. I was like, God, this is the hell I was in with him, like this last few years when it was really bad. This is how I felt all the time in hell. And then this is why I finally just cut off contact because I couldn't take this pain anymore. And it did ease. It did go away. And then it just, to have it all come back, yesterday I kind of did have the thought of, wow, maybe I was this miserable with him, I'm this miserable without him. Maybe
who's the problem? Correct. I was just gonna say See, it sounds like this is an issue that you have to address within yourself. What'll happen if you meet someone else without addressing this is that new relationship, it doesn't matter who it is going to do the same thing. You're going to do the same thing with the next person. It has all the minutia content about the person, and you won't matter because that you're using this relationship to fulfill this void.
Yeah.
Right? That's the codependency. That's the co-narcissism. Right? So this is how people do it with body image too, by the way. My thinner body will fill the void then because I can't rely on someone else. So I'm going to rely on I'm going to try to do it on my own. I will feel better when. I will feel better when, right? So you come to find out the facts, right? So face the reality. Okay, think of it this way. So imagine I can tell the future. Okay, just imagine. And I'm like, okay, I just want you to know that the relationship with this person is permanently over. He will never, ever come back to you. Period. It's over. It's gone to the max. Your relationship with that man has been maximized. There's no further potential. This is as far as it got, and it cannot get better. So what he's doing is thinking, well, maybe I need a new girl, and it'll be better with her. So he's making rounds, and you know what? And he'll never come back to this one. Right? So how would that feel?
If you read the future and told me it was really permanently over.
Yeah. It will never get better. He will never come back to you. Even if you lose a shit ton of weight, make tons of money, this is...
Well, he's so, like, I could literally call him right now, and he would be like, I love you so much. Like, so it's not like, I guess, it's different. He's so weird. I mean, when I saw him last a year ago, he's already deep in the relationship with her.
Okay, so the truth of the matter is, if you get involved, there's going to be all sorts of horrible drama. So with that said, this will never happen again. So you see how you're trying to work around what I said. I guess
the better phrase it is that it's over forever, and that even if I called him, he would just be not even engaged with me. He would be like, I'm with her, and I have no feelings for you. Goodbye.
Correct. No, okay, I'm not doing this again.
So there'd be nothing. No.
Period. He will not. The shoe has been used. You've got no soul anymore on the shoe. He's got a new pair of shoes.
I guess it would be a relief. Or what?
And what I'm assuming what it would be relieving, because all this energy, because you could say you've put an incredible amount of energy over the last 48 hours, like way crazy energy. You could have cured cancer with this energy. Yes, a lot of energy goes into investing your survival mechanisms on him.
Yeah.
Right? Wasted. Like, why would you do that? You see what I mean by, you did not put this one to rest. You brought this one out from the grave. It's not, you really were hoping that it'll eventually be a zombie and come back to you after it was dead. No, it's not working. He will never come back to you. And the funny thing about it is, if he did, you'd probably get a sense of, that's right, you piece of shit. I'm sorry, I don't really want to be with you.
Oh, absolutely not. When he was in my living room, I was staring at him going, wow, I actually, I care, but I don't want to be with him.
Yeah, but this behavior right here, right, tells me you still want to claim ownership. You want him to grovel at your feet.
I just want, some validation.
That's it.
I'm only with her because I can't have you.
No, don't even. Do you really want that?
No. There's a part of my brain that says I want that.
Well, that would be quick and easy, but what's going to happen after you get that? It's not enough.
I have to maintain it.
Yeah. You got it. It's not enough. Now you need more. Now I need him when yeah, it's codependency, dude. And it's really a sign that you are not fulfilling yourself. You feel inadequate underneath it all. And so when he's removed from the picture, there is a side of you that's like, okay, I won't have to waste this energy on someone that I'm not even haven't talked to in over a year. But that means that there's a void that needs to be fulfilled. And so what would naturally happen if you're not conscious or evolved enough to be conscious is you're going to seek another thing to fulfill that void. Because you're in that state of mind, I need. Right? So, and then I know what I'll do. I'll become highly successful and I won't need another person. So you see how that's like going from relying on another person to I'm going to rely on myself to survive. But it may not be, it's with a concept, right? Where I'm going to rely on myself to be successful. It might not be in marriage, but it's going to be in work. It's going to be in thinnerness. It's going to be religion. I mean, people fulfill that void with with concepts versus people. The goal is that you don't fulfill the void anymore. You go into the natural state of you.
Or like what I've noticed is it's the levels of consciousness. It's like has this really been here all along? Is this going to always be here? And I just
no, it sounds like you're. No, that's not how it works.
Well, there's been months where I felt things start to like erode a little bit mentally, like before things got really bad. Like I can see the steps where it happens, like, and and it does also, I could feel, because I've been doing so great. Like I just had this, one of the best, I've been reflecting. This has been such a great year, and I've just had all the ways that I have grown and from all this work, and I've really sowed so many benefits from it. And somewhere along the line, in the last few months, I felt, a little bit creeping back with the body image stuff, with like maybe I'm realizing that I'm trying to have a foot in both worlds. Those were these first things I was noticing. Like I want to be recovered and free and not worry about the fat on my body. And then on the other foot, if I could just not look too horrible. Like, I don't want to look too horrible. Like, I don't need people to think I'm hot anymore. I don't need to be cool and skinny. But I don't necessarily want to be like an eyesore. I don't want to be like.
Oh, see, that has to be surrendered. So the guidance I would give you is that those are the things you have to go. No, what if you are an eyesore? So those are still, yeah, that's.
And then I could just start to feel like just a little bit of things where like, okay, no, or like worrying what I look like in the picture, and not a ton of issues with food, but just eating. I get on the scale maybe once a month, and I'm literally weighed the same to like 242 on the dot. So I'm eating enough to and I'll go, I'm overeating enough to maintain too much weight on my body, but I'm not really worrying when I'm eating, but I'm kind of not stopping when I'm full. I'm not really thinking about food, but I am worriing what I look like. And then it starts to nitpick away.
Well, yeah, eventually,
then it starts, and I can feel going down a rung. Now I'm looking a little bit more. Now I'm having a little more of a jealous reaction. Yeah. So now I need more validation. So now I'm feeling, oh wait, I sure feel fat today. Now my ankles, my knees started fucking up. And I was like, okay, are you going to really be this heavy the rest of your life? Like, then it all goes together. It was the perfect storm. And then all of a sudden, I just fell into this pit of like, you're fucking, like just.
Well, the truth. So what this tells me is you've really just put things on pause. You haven't actually addressed the worst case scenario. You haven't. You have faced your current reality, right? I can accept what it is right now, but it can't get worse. And how long can you do that? That's still conditional. You fatigue after a while. That's what you're describing as the fatigue.
Yeah, it's fatigue. And then it's like I haven't, and then I think about calling you, and I'm like, she's just going to be disgusted with me, but like a year later,
I'm not disgusted.
She's going to like drop me and just think I'm, like, how can you be this fucking stupid? You know everything.
Oh my God. Stop projecting yourself onto me.
But I feel sorry for myself a little bit. I'm like, this is total victim thinking. So then one thing it down. Like, just one thing leads to the next, to the next, to the next. And then I'm suddenly, like, I'm not, and I'm, like, in the fiery gates of hell going, this is, like, I want to take a knife and, like, plunge it into my stomach so bad right now and just have this end. Like, that's suddenly, like, okay. So yesterday was, like, I kind of reached this new dark, horrible low where I did just want to, like, if I just, like, it would be so amazing to just fucking be dead, right? Like, I just went there, and I was like, okay, this is officially crisis. This is not good. This is where, just, okay. So then I just texted you, and I'm like, I can't, I've either got to, then I started thinking maybe I do need to cut off contact with his family for a while, and coincidentally, his daughter's moving back to Salt Lake, like, tomorrow. And maybe I need to take a break from those relationships, and I don't know, something has to change. Like, some new boundaries have to come up, or I need to, like, block her Facebook. You know, I'm not blocking her, and she doesn't block. I need to figure something out to protect myself to be able to start again, because this is bad. Something has to change, and I know so much. You know, I have this knowledge, and I do have this foundation that I can. It's right there waiting for me that I have built for a year, and I'm not going to erase that because it's been fucking amazing, and it is amazing. And I've, like, conducted myself so much better and mature and less drama, and it's just all of a sudden I was a woman on fire again like last yesterday. I was just laying here all day miserable and in hell over this. And it's like, here I am back on, like, you know, my knees, like, start the pains.
Well, it sounds like what needs to happen is a real come to Jesus moment where you actually get to the heart of the issue and you do not cope around it. Do not cope around it, because this misery you know real well. This isn't new misery.
I don't know. It just feels kind of hopeless. Like, is my fucking family crushed?
Okay, so pause. So what's the difference between so you can hold on to it, or you can surrender it. You can commit suicide, or you can do what feels like suicide, which is ending all relationships with these people. I mean, the key is you shouldn't have to end a relationship with someone. You should be autonomous so that the relationships you have don't end up like that.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You know, that feeling of I would be so great if I could just die. That feeling is coming from getting rid of that relationship.
It's coming from that relationship ending or something?
Yes. If you're miserable, what you're trying to end is the relationship, how you relate to this person.
Yeah.
So can you see how people confuse it with, if I physically kill this body, I'm going to end that relationship?
Oh, yeah.
You see that? That was when I realized, I'm going to physically kill myself, but the body has nothing to do with how I'm perceiving things. Those have to do with my beliefs, right?
Yeah.
So you can kill the beliefs. That's no different than suicide. If you kill yourself, you're killing the beliefs your brain you're holding your brain to. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to make any recommendations, it would be, what's the difference between being fat and ugly and committing suicide? To your belief systems, it's the same thing, right?
My belief system does the same thing.
It's the same thing to your belief system. Being fat and ugly and rejectable is equal to death.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you have to do if you want to be released from that belief system? That I have to avoid, I have to always be concerned about the way I look. And I can't look this way. If you want freedom from that, what has to happen?
I mean, obviously I have to surrender it.
Yeah, like dying. Feels like you're going to die. Yeah, you commit suicide to it. So if you were to commit suicide, let's just go there. You're going to end all this. The whole thing. What are you going to do if you get another chance? Meaning you're going to get a new body. New parents. You're going to get a whole new way to get fucked up.
Yeah. watch a whole other relationship play out in front of me that I go and repeat.
Yeah, if you don't figure your shit out, you will. You'll do the same thing in the next body too. Because I really need to be thinner in my next body, and the body I hope is pretty, so I can be approvable. And because those are beliefs that you're holding yourself to. So the beliefs are what need to commit suicide.
Yeah.
What is the body dying gonna do? Nothing. You'll get a new body and you're gonna go, well, I want to make sure it's pretty first and thin enough and want to make sure it's healthy. Okay, so you're gonna focus your life on doing that, and what's gonna end up happening?
I'll just end up in the same fiery pit of hell.
Yeah, okay, I gotta make sure I have a boyfriend. Okay, how's that gonna work out? Would you repeat the same exact thing knowing what you know today? How this has turned out?
God, no.
Right?
No.
So,
no.
It's, you wouldn't recommend it. So you would have to do and be and exist in a way that is very different.
Just vanity.
So, yeah, total vanity, but don't judge that.
It's just like,
you're trying to use vanity to feel better about yourself.
Or just, why can't I have everything? Why can't I be spiritually enlightened and free and not care and just happen to look good?
Oh, well, that doesn't work. Because the way you just said that doesn't get that. You don't get it. Because the reason you want to feel good and look good is because you want approval. How do you escape survival mechanisms, which is really what you can call enlightenment? That's all that is. It's just the way we exist when we're not in survival mode. That's how we should be existing. So it's not special. It's just that's how we are when people come out of this. So how can you come out of that when you're using something so superficial for that survival need? It doesn't work. You don't come out of survival mode needing to be pretty. Those are that's how you function when you are not surviving well. So it's like you just said two things that are like holy what? They don't even go together.
I know, and I'm trying to like.
You want to keep your survival mechanism and not have survival. You know. Well, what would happen? So let's go back to committing suicide. Do you really want it? Do you really want that? You sure? Would you do that in your next life? Gotta make sure she's pretty. Want to make sure the body I'm in, wherever I'm born, matches whatever is perceived as beautiful before I can feel good about it.
Just coming to terms with that I don't. Like, I am just like, I'm just old and fat now. I hobble around.
Yeah, what? And you say that as if it's a bad thing. So that's...
I know.
Yeah, so blah, blah, blah. So you need to think about that. Do you really want to do that in your next life? Because eventually you're going to get old and hobble. Should you just commit suicide when you're young? So that you can always just... Do you really want that to be your focus? Is this something you would want to encourage in another life, given another opportunity?
No, it's not. It's just it's learning to just like accept it. Like, and I just, it's like I accept it a bit each day, but it's and I am accepting also. P.S. I'm premenopausal. I'm sure I'm hormonal. I'm having a shit ton of hot flashes. I'm coming. I am going into a different phase of life. I'm 52. I'm accepting that I was in this abusive relationship, that it cost me. That like you pointed out. I am changing my thinking, but what's my old way of thinking? It cost me a family, but it's, I have come to think maybe I wasn't ready I couldn't handle that. And if I wasn't with him, I would have picked someone else to have a fucked up relationship.
And you would have a whole you'd have a nightmare somewhere else. Yeah, it'd be all nightmares no matter what.
Because it can go down this pit of like, I gave everything trying to make it work with him, and that cost me. I could have met someone else that had a husband and a family and had a child right now and lived a whole different life. But it's like, obviously, I wasn't emotionally in a place to do that. And if it wasn't him, I would have found someone else. That it's just accepting that I did that. That was a dream my whole life. So that dream's dead, and now I'm going into a different phase of life. So it is hard to wrap my mind around all of that, like fading looks and all that, on top of all this shit. Body image shit.
So what's the issue? Is it that reality or is it your fantasies? What's the issue?
Is my fantasy.
Yeah. Like, that's what you're complaining about, is my life is shitty, and you're not questioning the fantasy that you're holding it to. It's like, I see it clearly because I don't believe the same fantasy shit. Like, that's the difference between recovery and non-recovery.
Yeah.
You still hold that supremacy bullshit so like it's godly. Right? There's only one way to fucking live, and my life I wanted it so bad, and my life sucks because it's not that. And I'm going to complain about what happens to the body as it keeps you alive longer. Now that's bad. But what happens to all bodies that are alive longer, you're pissed off about. See, do you see it stemming from the concepts of thin supremacy and age supremacy and all of that weird narcissism?
Yes.
Life sucks compared to those things. And you think that those are like sacred. You've never questioned the narcissism, right? You hear it, you know it, but you still believe in it. And so when I said, if you get a new body, notice how you're trying to pull that narcissism into the next life. What are you going to do? You're going to do that again? Did you not learn your lesson? Okay, karma's a bitch. It's going to go round and round in circles. Right? You're going in circles. You know it. And so do you really want to keep on doing this? Inevitably, you're going to have to stop and face what you're afraid of. I'm afraid to be alone. Yes, I felt the same way. I'm afraid I won't have kids. Well, you might want to just accept that because you've been afraid so much and so desperate about it that you've inflicted all sorts of pain onto yourself and attracted people who are into that.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to be desirable. Like, it's just unbelievable, but I would still, it's whatever.
Okay, so face that. So go into being undesirable. So notice how you're like, oh, that's a bad thing. Well, just look at it. Is being undesirable really a bad thing? Because what you're living through sounds like, oh, I would so much rather be undesirable and free to be me. So you're not hearing it. Like,
I know. It's like I get dragged underwater.
Well, this is the truth of what's underneath it. So it's not that other things are making you this way. This is the way you are. This is the truth. This is what's underneath all your coping mechanisms, right?
Yeah.
This is the truth. This is the shit that you are not looking at. You're just,
I just don't know.
So I'm giving you direction. So the next time you're like, but I can't be ugly, we'll ask, well, why is that a hard thing for me?
No, but it's true. I wouldn't, I meet men and I'll kind of flirt with them and it doesn't, they'll turn out, they're married, it can't work for whatever reason, but it's like, I would not go, actively go online and try to meet men right now and show up, I don't feel, limp up in my titties,
yeah.
Hey.
Someone out there's gonna be like, damn, I like that.
I noticed you're not dating when you want someone. You would like to have a partner, and why aren't you dating? Oh, well, I'm not. I can't. I physically feel I do feel like a blob. I don't feel sexy.
That's because you have an image of what is correct in your mind. You are holding yourself to. So those images,
still there.
Correct. And so the image of what you're supposed to be, all that brainwashing. When I said let's commit suicide, that's what I'm telling you to commit suicide to. It's no different than. It's going to feel that way because those to you are your lifelines. This is what my life is. If I lose those, what's my life worth? I have lost my ex-boyfriend. I should just kill myself. Right?
I have felt it. I have wept and grieved. I mean, so is it like layers and levels?
Yes, and certain conditions. Yeah. Yes.
Totally relapse? How?
So that's when you find out. So to me, what I've come to understand about you, and trust me, this isn't just you, this is in general, everybody that is not quite ready. You're not quite ready. That's really what, you're not quite there yet. And when you're not quite there yet, you're going to, you know, the coping mechanisms are pretty amazing, to be honest with you. How we move things around and shut things around, cover things up. And like, I'm just going to like throw some dust on that so it doesn't seem like it's there. I'm not going to look at it. If I don't look at it, it doesn't exist. Right? You know, and that's what you're doing, and that's what you've been doing. It doesn't mean you haven't had improvements, but there are certain conditions that you are avoiding. So for example, if something comes up in me, it's like, oh yeah, definitely am aging. The first thing that comes up for me is I can either do what society is expecting me to do, or I can just keep on living my life freely and accept that the longer we have time here, the body changes to accommodate for that time. Your skin changes as you are given more time here.
Yeah.
So either I can complain or I can be pumped that I have saggier skin, crepier skin. My teeth are getting yellow because I love coffee so much.
White strip that shit.
I could I could, right? You see what I mean? Like, I could spend my money, time, and effort and thinking, and I can actually focus on these concepts that you need this, you need that, and I can consume all of it.
No, I know.
Or I can pick and choose.
Like, fucking dying of cancer, and that, like, I could sob my eyes out for days for her. It's not like, Kristen, how dare you complain about anything? This nice, amazing person is dying right now. Like,
don't demand that you figure your shit out without having figured it out yet, okay? Give yourself a break. You're holding yourself, and please do not project that onto me. I do not expect you to be like super enlightened and so like floating in the air with your hands up in your white robes.
I know, but we have done some fucking great work, and it has changed my life. Like, and I'm,
you're still in the process. There's nothing wrong with this process. There's nothing wrong with the struggle. Okay, so let's freaking commit suicide to all this crap. Where I'm taking you is, I had to do the same thing, because I was literally going to commit suicide, but I had to go into, what am I going to do if I get a new body? If I am fortunate enough, because I had in my mind actually asked, I really hope I get another chance, because this was such a failure. Like, 20 years in and I'd rather die, I just sobbed and was almost pleading to some higher power, if it truly existed, that I might get another chance. And I remember thinking, and keep in mind the integrity that goes into that pleading.
Yeah.
I remember envisioning in my mind, and this is like part of that out-of-body experience, but I remember envisioning, I will get a new body. And if I cannot accept that that body could be disfigured, ugly, different race, different culture, all the physical vulnerabilities that are infinitely, the body is capable of having, right? All of the infinite problems.
Yeah.
I am now opening myself up to that, because I have a body right now that doesn't have any issues. Right? The reason I'm killing it is because I'm requiring its perfection. And I can't continue this anymore. So it was perfect in its form. I was willing to kill a perfect body. Perfect to the standards, too. In order to get freedom from the horrendous, obsessive, compulsive, torture it took to just keep it, right? Out of my own pride of not being willing to be seen as inferior, right? I'd rather kill myself than be inferior. So here I am, pleading for another life. And the first thing I had to do was what? Accept that it's inferior. If I want freedom, if I want another trial, I have to accept what I don't want with this body. And I remember thinking, I would love that body. I would just accept it for what it is, because then I could just be free. And then I remember being it was like, duh, Robin, you have a body. Why doesn't this one deserve it? Why doesn't this one deserve that same freedom? Why don't you get to just be yourself? Why do you have to in this life be that religion? Why do you got to do that? It really has a lot to do as well with taking responsibility for your life. That void that you're trying to make your ex responsible for, that's your responsibility. In your next life, you would never give someone that, because that would mean you are codependent again. You have to do what they say, be what they want. And then you have to do the same thing to others. They have to be what I say and be what I want. And no one gets to just be real.
Yeah.
So, what do you want freedom from? Is it freedom from him or freedom from codependency?
Codependency.
Right? It's not about him. It's not about thinness. So the only way you're going to be able to do this is to start with the relationship you have with your body.
Yeah.
So here you are. Here's the body. Here's what it is. It's got however much time it's got left. What are you going to do with it? Because eventually you're going to die. The body's going to have it's going to have its end point. Right?
Yeah.
Until that point, you have tons of freedom to figure this out. That's another thing that I remember consciously thinking I could choose let's just imagine I did royally fuck things up. And I am going to hell. So I can kill myself now and go to hell, or I can practice until I do die and go to hell. That was a big deal to me, because I remember thinking, well, okay, let's just say I do get another alternative. I do get another chance. Or there's no point. Why would I not take advantage of the life this body's giving me to create what I would in my next life now, and practice first? Let's just practice what it would feel like to be self-reliant, to be loving and accepting of the body, even if I lose an arm or a leg, because that might give me some practice to do it with the next body. I know this sounds so ridiculous, but let me tell you, these thoughts and concepts were extremely relevant to why I am still free from it today.
No, I'm listening. I am listening. That's true. Just accepting it all. Like, for me, it's like,
you may get another chance in your next life, dude. And let me tell you something. I could be wrong. Reincarnation may not occur. Who knows? But let's just imagine you hope for it. You have the rest of this life to be the real you and to practice it in vulnerability, so that when you're born again and you get another life, you're going to start the next one accepting that body, because I've practiced with this one.
And just letting go of, it's just, I don't know.
It's like dying.
Yeah, it is hard. Like, I keep just coming back to, you're saying all this, and I love my mom. I just keep thinking of her. It's like, and if it's just even recently, she struggles. She lives her whole life on HCG diet, basically. I mean, I said, and I don't really talk to her much about this anymore, because she, the last time I talked, she's like, I don't get it. You're just supposed to be okay with being fat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she says it with the stigma. Yeah.
And I just looked at her, and it was like, if what you're basically saying is, I'm not okay because I am fat.
Yeah.
And I just changed the side. I was just like, and I love her, but part of me just feels like, is it so inbred in me so deeply, this vanity, that, she's an 80-year-old woman, she had, she's deep in the trenches. She had to, leave at 5 p.m. to, go to Target to get a scale, because
I get that. She's that era. That's super narcissism. That generation is, yes. I get that. I get that. You've just evolved beyond her. Like, you can either use her credibly or you can evolve outside of the 1940s.
Yeah. And my mom is beautiful. She's homecoming queen, beauty queen.
Well, she's clearly not very self-aware.
Pastor's family appearances.
Yeah. I get that.
I don't want to get caught up in, I'm special, Robin. My situation is
I know, but those are situations you have to face. You have to reconcile the fact that you are surrounded by people you care about who are stuck in there. They're stuck in it. That's what she's devoting her life to.
Up the stairs. I'm trying to, now I'm getting groceries. It's like getting upstairs. Like, I remember looking at a heavy person going up the stairs, and you kind of cringe a little, like, don't they see, like, that this isn't good? I'm like, getting around, but I'm like out doing everything, I'm having fun, I'm loving people, but it's just still, that's not enough. It all turns to dust if, the minute I'm just this fat person.
Yes, okay, well, what if this is what has to be served from some past life bullshit, you making fun of someone who's fat, and this is it?
You're just being concerned, like, ooh, that's not easy going up those stairs, that body, that's hard to carry.
You know what's harder is how that person shamed themselves. How do you think that happens to someone? You forgot about that. That's really hard what they've gone through. You forgot about that. The actual weight, which one's harder? The psychological torment and shame and the binge eating aspect, or the weight on the knees going upstairs? Which one's worse?
Psychological shame.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Notice how you go to the ignorant aspect.
Yeah. It's
not the, do you know what that takes for someone to get that big? The shame and isolation they go through?
Yeah, I know what I've gone through.
I know it. You're not even acknowledging that. Right? So the ignorance around, oh man, don't they know? Of course they know. They know way more than you do. As if they don't care. That is so ignorant.
Yeah. True. Right?
So you're not giving a voice to the reality. You're giving a voice to ignorance and perpetuating it.
Yeah, it's true. Like, that's when the consciousness goes down, and like that's those things come. It's just like, how do I pump up that fucking jam and keep that consciousness up there?
And you're gonna have to surrender the whole concept of sin supremacy. This is very simple. You're gonna need to rewatch this video, and you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear me say these things. Where I'm like, here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. You need to go back in here. You need to serve your karma. You're going to be this fat forever. Get over it. If this is it, if this is the cost for some past life bullshit, let's just go there. What if that's what this is? This is your payback, bitch.
Yeah.
Make the most of it. Or you can sit here and complain and feel sorry for yourself. You can just say, okay, if this is the body I'm in, I can accept this. I'll just adapt. There's so much life to be lived. It doesn't have to change the body to live it. Do you want to waste your life trying to fix the body?
No.
Because you know what's happened to your body as you waste life trying to fix it.
It just gets bigger.
Yeah, the end result. The end result is there's this tease of thinness, and then there's the misery of keeping it, and then there's this exacerbated need for food, and then there's months and months of binging, and then you regain it and feel bad about yourself. And worse. Yeah. So you want to do that again? You can. You have that choice.
No, I can't even think about.
Okay, so then you need to get over all of this bullshit ignorance that's coming from your mother's brainwashing from the fucking 50s, okay?
Yeah.
You can forgive her. She really doesn't mean harm.
I know she doesn't.
Yeah. And not only that, but she's projecting her own narcissism.
Yeah.
Out. She's clearly not happy. Could you imagine, let's just say you have your whole life and you're going to spend it on the HCG protocol. How's that sound?
Like, hell no.
Yeah, she's going to spend the last decade of her life making sure she stays thin.
It's not.
What? That's what she needs to do to feel safe.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's her safe zone. You know what she's scared of is her own shame and ignorance towards people who are overweight. This is no different than being shamed because you're not a religion.
Yeah.
Okay, same thing. You got to forgive it and recognize that that's really quite loving. It is. It's just loving in a tiny little box.
I know it comes down to just, like, I feel like I'm back at this exact place where it's that, you know, we're just surrendering my identity.
For reals now.
My identity, like what I look like, how my image, how people see me, like, and
hold on. Like, can I pause you for a second? I love what you just said, but is that really your image, or is it been an image that's been superimposed onto you? Because it's really not your creative imagery. Is it really your image that you're having to give up, or is it an image that you've been striving for? Is it the real you that you're having to surrender, or is it a fake you that you have to surrender?
The fake me.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So know the difference. Know the difference. It's an image that you've wanted. It's an image that you were told you should have. It's brainwashing. It's like what you're saying is, Robin, you're asking me to give up the lies. Yes. And then the truth is underneath all that. The original. There's an original you that exists. That's been there this whole time. It would be what exists in a new body. This is what's going to show up.
You know, flashes emerge. She's made changes about, like, you know, and then it's just, but yeah, that feeling of just having to surrender, the Kristen, my fake image, and it does feel like death, and I feel like I've done it, and to an extent, and it's been, once I do that, everything else crumbles. Talk about turning to dust. All the issues turn to dust.
Correct.
Everything.
Yes, like
you know, all the way the dominoes go, all the way down to him, where I say, I hope you're happy.
Yes, and you want him. Yeah.
Everything. And it's just...
So you have to actually do it permanently, even in vulnerability. So, because it's all fake anyways. The reality is what you're giving up is an image of yourself. It's a self-concept, right? Unfortunately, that concept in your mind has been used to, like, as a survival mechanism. Like, if I can get that image, I'll survive. So to let it go, what does it feel like? It feels like death. Yeah, but the funny thing is, what's your life like holding on to it? What is life like holding on to it?
Hell.
Yeah. So what do you have to risk here? You're getting rid of some fake concept. And then what you'll figure out is, okay, well then who am I? Who am I? Like, what's the truth? What's the real truth here? Because everything else has been given, it's like a facade that you were told, fit this. This will be liked and approved of. If you don't fit this, you're not going to be loved. And you're not lovable as you are. You need to conform. You need to conform to an image of what God wants you to be. You can't be what God made you be, okay? He failed. It's your job to fix it for him so that he can, you know, okay, you fixed it for me. You know what I mean? There's that, right? Body image is the same thing. It's the same, it's fulfilling the same vulnerable source of our survival, right? I need to be loved. I need to be accepted. So I can't be accepted with just the real me. I can't be accepted with a sucky body. I got to change my body. I got to change me, and then I'll be accepted. So the acceptance has been attached to a concept. And have you ever really actually succeeded at this concept?
Never.
Right. So when you actually, what if you were to attach acceptance to the truth of you? The real truth. It doesn't require all of this crazy train. You know, your authentic capacity, your authentic real work, like how you want to, you know, the way you actually are. That doesn't require mental illness, right? Or the overreach.
Yeah.
Because your illness, we want to call it that, is because of the overreach. Your shame, that's because of an overreach. You only feel bad about yourself because you're comparing yourself to some ideal. That's an overreach, right? Your work ethic. I mean, do you really have terrible work ethic? No. those are certain truths, like how hard you want to work and how creative you are. There's certain truths that have been put in this, right? But they've been kind of hijacked and harnessed towards a facade, right? So what if you can take all that energy and just harness it into what's real?
It's amazing, and I've done it. I've proven that. I've experienced that, and it's just.
So maybe it's time to make a real permanent choice versus a temporary reprieve.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I do get discouraged, like bummed out that I have to do it again, or you didn't do it right, or you didn't.
Well, what did you?
It felt real, but I didn't give it away.
Well, you tell me. I mean, it's come back around. Why do you got to judge the fact that it just came back around? What does it tell you? What's the truth?
So I'm just a work in process.
Yes.
Progress.
Why judge that? Why are you judging that?
I guess I wanted this dramatic, beautiful recovery that was just perfect.
Well, you clearly are fantasizing about what that is.
And it's been so amazing and great, but it's just still not good enough.
No, because you haven't figured it out yet. Right? There's so much detail around, for me, what happened for me, what I've had to do to maintain this. It's
just the fact that you just that it just sticks for you.
It's because I continuously sit in humility and truth. I continuously accept rejection and abandonment. I would rather be alone than with some codependent relationship. It's continuously occurring at all times. I would rather be real. No, at this point, it's the way it is. It's very clear to me. I would rather you think I suck than for me to try to fix it so that you don't.
Yeah.
I have permanently accepted that. You have not. There's a difference. I'm not saying I'm better than you, but do not expect to have all this freedom. And I want to stay thin and pretty too, Robin.
I just want to look okay.
I don't want to care what I look like. Notice the difference.
I know. And there's things I don't, but I'm just aware of it.
Okay, so all this is for you is a realization oh shit, I didn't face it all. I might have faced some, and now there's a way to get better.
Yeah, I need to,
yeah, so don't catastrophize the fact that you're not fully recovered. And does this reality hit, when reality hits, does this mean that it's all horrible forever and permanently? I should just quit everything.
I had a flash of a few weeks ago. I was maybe I'm not in enough pain anymore. So this is as far as my recovery is going to go because I'm not suffering like I was before. And if this is it, I guess I'm still grateful for this. And then cut to me, on the couch, writhing in hell, wishing I could plunge a knife in my gut. Oh.
Here's the thing. The fact that you're still sitting here wanting thinness is okay.
I mean, not thinness.
It doesn't matter. It's thinner. That's the same goddamn thing.
Just 20 pounds.
Yeah. So you can sit here and pretend like you're all recovered when it's no, you're not. Don't pretend you are. You don't inflate yourself.
Yeah.
Stop. Just admit the fucking truth.
Just deal with reality.
Yes, because that's the truth. Whether you want to pretend it's not that way or not, the truth is you're not recovered. You've always wanted to be thinner. You still believe in thin supremacy. You still have those feelings, and they're there. Don't repress them. Don't deny them. The longer you do that, eventually it's going to come out as you have another one of these moments. These cycles will always come around. This is how it works, and it is in circles for everybody.
Yeah.
Because you're going to cope, and then you're going to have a period of time where you feel better, and then you go, oh my God, I'm so enlightened, and I'm going to get all high on myself. And then eventually you're like, oh my God, life really does suck. And now, boom, and now you're back into the hole. You want to do that cycle again? Keep on being in denial about where you're at.
Well, I feel good like I did. I mean, it's not any big revelation, but it does come back down to that exact moment of surrendering.
Correct. And you haven't done it yet. You haven't done it yet. You've given it a little room.
A little bit.
Yes, you've given it some room, but you haven't surrendered it yet. You're still clutching onto it. You don't need me to ask. You don't need me to answer that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I am. It's still. I can feel me kind of clutching onto it.
Kind of, just a little clutch.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for putting up with me.
Oh, you know what? I really understand this process. I just want you to know that. So I know how hard it was for me. It took me being in a prepared state to kill myself. So how could I not have compassion for how hard this is?
Yeah.
Like, I don't sit here and judge people when they struggle. That's you. That was your projection onto me. I don't do that.
Well, sometimes I've obviously been stubborn and you've had to yell at me.
Well, yeah, only because it's like the same shit and you keep on, and I'm like, that's different. That's different.
Yeah.
That's when you're playing the whole victim role, which is a huge part of narcissism, right? It's like, poor me, woe me. That's a huge aspect. And there's science that's been studied with eating disorders. That is a huge roadblock.
Yeah.
Because they feel sorry for themselves. You'll never recover feeling sorry for yourself because you're playing the passive victim martyr. How are you going to get any better when you're the victim? You can't. And that's usually when a lot of people stop recovery because they start feeling sorry for themselves and they quit.
Yeah.
Because they got to go back and do what they got to do.
Uh-huh.
Which is go back to my eating disorder. And then they blame the recovery person for not working. It didn't work for me. Oh, really? It's so. And when you're that way, what do I have to lose besides calling it out?
Yeah.
I have nothing. So that's what that is. You can feel sorry for yourself, or you can recover. You can't have both.
Right.
And I've been there too. I'm coming from someone who's done this. It's not like I haven't done this before. I did this, and I felt sorry for myself. And you know what? Guess where that goes?
Nowhere.
In circles, because you're going to get what you want, man. You're going to get your thinness. You're going to try to lose weight. You're going to be like, Robin doesn't know what she's talking about. You're going to do it. And then eventually you're going to be right here where you're at, right now.
Yeah, I mean,
again.
I'm happy that I don't even think, like, food, it's so funny how food is the last thing that even has anything to do with anything.
Yeah, well, that's the easy, right? That's the easy part because you can see the food is just a consequence of the dieting. So if we get rid of dieting, then the food isn't so bad. Now it's the real issues around your self-worth, right? And what's holding that worth hostage.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way I could diet, so that's off the table. But I mean, I guess I diet obviously in some ways, but I mean, as far as thinking, I can do a round and I'll just lose 20 pounds and I'll keep it off, like that's like laughable.
I know, it's a joke. Because you're not...
Like, are you kidding?
You can't with that state of mind. Yeah, you can't with this state of mind. You can see that with this state of mind, you're just miserable.
I'm
and you'll
sitting here at 242, whatever, it's a great number, I guess.
Why does that number even matter? It's irrelevant.
I know.
It is irrelevant. What's the difference between you and being 142?
Oh, shit.
Nothing. You would be just as fucking miserable.
I look at these pictures of myself. I was going through my drawers and all this shit, and I was just like, I can remember my mental state. I'm like looking at this beautiful girl that had everything going for her, and it's like I still wouldn't even go out and date. It's, oh no, my thighs and my stomach.
Yeah, it's not a physical problem.
It's not. It's really not.
And you know what I see? I'm looking at you thinking, this girl is gorgeous. She has everything going for her. And you look at that picture and think she has everything going for her.
I know.
Why do you not have everything going for you now? You have all this opportunity, but you're just holding yourself to some concept that keeps you held hostage, and you can't have freedom, and you get to feel shitty about yourself because you won't leave it.
I know, it's just gnarly. It's so gnarly.
Well, the suffering aspect of it is really important. So I don't blame the fact I don't feel that you feeling so horrible is a bad thing.
It's true.
It's like, keep on feeling like shit. Let me know when you're done.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lesson in here. You need to look at it. Why do I care? If you really want the suffering to go away, you really need to take responsibility.
Yeah. Well, today, when I'm so fucking busy, and anyway, I just took the day off work. I was like, I mean, I could, it wasn't a big deal to take it off. I was like, no, I hardly